All right, it is 10:55 and we have 26 participants. So Carol, you can start whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Erin. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be with you on this glorious Saturday morning, and you are giving up some quality time. So I require you to go outside after the session. So here I am. The title of our session is Teaching with Light, Self-Care Strategies for Teachers. And I am a former teacher. I taught for more than 20 years in a classroom, a fifth grade classroom, and then I moved into higher education and taught at two universities in Massachusetts, where my commitment really is to teacher education and working with beginning teachers. I love beginning teachers, and I love supporting their mentors. So why am I here today? I am here because, as you can see on the screen, I created my own support network called Mentoring in Action, and I support novice teachers through mentoring. And part of that is helping the mentors be as strong as they can be. Now, what we discovered in all of this through Mentoring in Action, that self-care and stress and anxiety are problems for beginning teachers. They're actually issues for all teachers. And I was in Sarah's session, and some of you may have been in her session, about the physical reaction to stress. It's physical. And she gave some great ways that we can use our common sense, really, to keep ourselves healthy and prevent burnout, because burnout is that physical reaction, and we have those stress indicators. So I'm here to share what I know from my experience as a teacher and a teacher educator, and from what everyone has shared with me. I'm here to share it with you. So the session goals are, we're going to do a little practice on mindfulness. Sarah called it meditation or prayer if you were in her session, and I call it mindfulness. We're going to do a little assessment, and you need a paper and a pencil. So grab a pen if you have one, if you're taking notes. And I have a fabulous article I'm going to review, but you will get a copy of the article, and then you're going to set a goal. So let's get started. Before we begin, I just want you to know, if you can stay awake and be on the session, at the end, you could be the lucky winner of a door prize. And the door prize is a new book that I have published really on mindfulness and mindful living. So this is how you can win the door prize. Right now, take your pencil, your pen, and a pad of paper, and the question is, what are you already doing to take care of yourself? And Ben and Erin, I include you too. You're part of the session. So jot down, and I'm going to do it too. What are we already doing to take care of ourselves? And if you just are like, oh, I can't think of anything, I'm not doing anything, then make something up that you'd like to be doing, that you wish you would be doing. And let's just take a moment to do that. Okay, so hopefully everyone has everything. You'll have a chance to share. We are going to do a little breakout room. So at the end of the session, Ben will be giving us the lucky random winner, but you do have to still be here. So we hope we can keep you. So let's think for a moment. We're probably all sitting in a chair. You've probably been doing this way too much, Zooming and so forth. But if we were together, and I have done this workshop live for MTA last year, but we'd be sitting in a circle. And what I'd like you to do is uncross your arms and legs. If you can, take your hand away from the keyboard for a moment and put your feet flat on the floor. And just sit there, maybe rock back and forth if you can. And here's the thing, mindfulness it's really just about being present in this moment in time, without writing, without thinking, without touching the keyboard. It's just, and it works in 1 minute. It can work in 30 seconds. If you're comfortable, I'd ask you to soften your gaze. Let's put our hands, these are called mudras, and let's touch the fingertips together like a globe and lay that globe in your lap. Just lay it in your lap and drop your shoulders. Just drop your shoulders. So put your fingers, your hands in your lap, drop your shoulders. I want you to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth and drop your shoulders. Release your hands and just sit for a moment and listen. You may want to take one hand and put it on your heart and see if you can feel your heart beating. My heart beating, it's pretty fast. So there's no judgment in mindfulness. The goal is to be free from distraction, and you can do this any time. And just notice how you were feeling a minute ago. And this can be done all during the day, anytime you want. So here's the way in which I'd like to introduce you to some self-care strategies. We talk about SEL, social and emotional learning, mostly for our students. That's where I was first introduced to it, and all of the beginning teachers that I was working with were like, well, we're doing all these strategies for our kids. I'm the one that needs a self-care. And I found this wonderful article that you will get at the end of the session. And there's a lot of work on the Castle website. Some of you are nodding that you use Castle. And what they have developed is a social and emotional learning skill set for us, for the educator. So again, take your pencil, paper, and I'm going to read 4 competencies to you, and you are going to rate yourself. And again, Ben and Erin, I invite you to do it too. So the rating scale is 1 to 5. And 1 is you're not very aware of this skill. And 5 is you're very aware. You're consciously aware of this skill and you use it in your life. And 2, 3, and 4 are somewhat not aware to more often aware. So here we go. Ready? First skill as an educator, self-awareness. And this is your ability to recognize your emotions and how your emotions influence your behavior. Now, this means assessing your strengths as well as your limitations. And this skill is having a grounded sense of confidence and optimism. So are you towards the 1, not much aware of it? Or are you aware all the time? You're very optimistic? Or are you somewhere in between? So pick a number and write it down. Self-management is skill number 2 for educators. The ability to regulate your emotions. So the first one's you're aware. This is, can you regulate your emotion and your thoughts and your behaviors? And this includes managing your own stress, controlling your impulses, motivating yourself. How would you rate yourself? Not very aware that you're even doing it? Or very much aware and you're actively engaged in this type of behavior? Skill number 3, social awareness. This is your empathy. Are you empathetic? to different cultures, different backgrounds? Do you understand how people learn differently? Do you recognize different types of families? Are you aware of it, or is it not in your lens? 1 to 5. And whatever comes up, that's your response. The final one is your relationship skills. The ability to establish and maintain healthy relationships, communicating clearly, listening actively, cooperating, and resisting inappropriate social pressure. So during this pandemic and all of this, I mean, it's very easy to get into the complaining mode. My sons are both teachers. I hear what's going on. It's very stressful. It's so confusing. It's so you can get into the blame. So how do you relate yourself on relationships? 1 to 5. All right, and just take a look at your assessment. Are you on the middle? Do you have something very, very strong? Do you have an area that's limiting for you? And just circle those. All right, we are going to go into breakouts, and Erin is going to help us with this. And you have a choice in your breakout. We're going to be in the breakout room for 6 minutes, and you'll have a groups of 4 or 5. Erin's taking care of that for me, yes. And here's what you can share. If you saw a strength in your survey that you just did, your SEL strength, you could share that. You could go back to your door prize and share what you do to take care of yourself. Or you could share what gives you joy in your life right now, something really positive to take us away from the negative. So, Erin, you can
Yes,
populate the breakout rooms, tell people how it's going to be done.
Perfect. One tip is once you get sent into your breakout rooms, you probably already know this, you won't be able to see this screen anymore. So what I like to do is you only want to just take as long as one person does it, take a little snapshot of this image.
Thank you.
Just jot it down.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a moment and go ahead and send you to breakouts. And again, it'll be for 6 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Erin. So glad to have you. I love having a full-time assistant. This is what I need. All right. I loved being in my little breakout group, and we shared some SEL strengths. The highlight was on social awareness, that people in my group felt we are conscious of being socially aware of our students because they're all different. Some are remote. And we did hear some great self-care strategies, taking a walk in the woods without our phones. So that's an important one. And what I heard is giving us joy is actually this time with our families. And I so appreciate the time, even if it is remotely with my children. It's very intentional. So the word is intention for you. So the article that you're going to receive at the end is one that I found that that really caught my eye when I was researching for this session. And this is a blog really by a young man, Taylor Alicon. He's not a teacher. He describes himself as a 25-year-old multi-ethnic male just trying to figure things out, and that he has had many mentors and teachers who have helped and supported him. And his greatest goal is to share with others what he's learning. So his article that you'll receive highlights these 5 areas as a young person who's trying to figure it out in his own area, 5 things that show up for him. Now, I want to just focus on number 2 because you're going to get this article. The thing is, we have to recognize our limitations. So in the little educator survey, if you gave yourself a 1 or a 2 or a 3 on some of these skills, it's okay. We're not going to be 5s in every area. We have to acknowledge where we need support and what our limitations are. And knowing a limitation doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. It's just an acknowledgement of where we want to put our focus. And that it was in Sarah's session. I want to build on that. It's okay to say no. We can say no. Actually, it's so interesting. My son said no to me yesterday. I called him about something and said, "Can you do this next week?" And he actually said, "No, Mom, I can't do it." And I'm like, and it was about picking up something that was for Christmas. It was all really nice. I felt like it was a good thing I was doing. And you know what he said to me? And it came to me when I was listening to Sarah in the session. He said, "Mom, I think I can say no to you because you're my family and I love you. And I can't say no at school because I feel like I have to say yes to everybody who asks me at school." And I just recognized, wow, I, his no is a gift that he loves me enough that he could say no. And he knew I was still going to love him. Well, maybe not. No, I do. I do. I do. But when we can't say no, we limit ourselves from taking care of ourselves through our own self-care. So I encourage you to read this article and to learn. So here's the thing, teaching with light. I have a new book coming out. It's going to be published in March. The title of the book is Teaching with Light, 10 Lessons for Finding Wisdom, Balance, and Inspiration. And I love it. It's all my teaching stories from 40 years of teaching. And I have a podcast that goes with the book. And these are real teacher stories. I just finished 20 podcast episodes, and I hear the light in these teachers' voices. So this is you, but it's intentional to find the light. We need to intentionally take care of ourselves, or the light dims. I have a new podcast that's being launched. You can find it. I thought I was going to be able to share a piece of it in this session, but the sound isn't as good. But if you, wherever you get your podcasts, if you put my name, Carol Pelletier Radford, Carol Radford, this podcast that just got launched this month is available everywhere. And it's called Mindful Living. And once a month, you'll get a 5-minute focus. And this month is joy, finding joy. And you will hear my little message and my voice, because I believe our voices carry light. And we have to find the light. So when you go on the screen or in front of the class, the kids see your face. This is what they see on Zoom sometimes, because I'm like this on Zoom and I'm like this on Zoom. So intentionally, I have to get myself psyched up so that they can see me and see the light. So I'd like you to take your pen again, your pen and paper, just jot down. And I'd like you to just take a moment to reflect on your energy as a teacher and what you bring to the classroom. Write down 2 or 3 strengths, your energy strengths, your power, what kids and teachers say about you. Take a moment to jot those down. And think about, as you're doing that, how much you're doing well. We focus on our limitations. I always think teachers, we're always trying to solve problems. So the problems come up. But your social and emotional skills can be developed as a teacher. The article, I'm just holding it up, that you'll get at the end is called Educators' Social and Emotional Skills Vital to Learning. And this article, along with Taylor's article together, will give you some foundation and focus on what you bring. I don't know if any of you do positive affirmations, but I love positive affirmations. I feel like they shift me when I repeat them. And it's a phrase, it's just a phrase. But before I get on a Zoom, before I go online, I say a positive affirmation, I prepare myself. So the positive affirmation for this session is I bring positive energy to my teaching. And I'm teaching right now. We're all in this teaching and collaborating together. So as you look at your energy and your skills, you need to also do the self-talk that isn't, I'm stressed, I'm tired. You can feel all those things, they are real, but then shift to where you bring the positive in. So how can we find the light? Let me give you a few strategies. And we talked about this in my breakout group. So look at this chart for a moment. Intentional focus is the key. So if you need to schedule breaks, you need to put them in your calendar. You can't just say I'm taking a break randomly. Look at your day. You decide when you need a break. That's intention. Identifying your needs goes up on the side. So to find your light and to sustain your light and stay in light, you have to know what your needs are consciously. You have to know what your strengths are, and then you have to intentionally focus. I think going outside for 5 minutes totally changes me. I told my breakout group to look up forest bathing. If you have never heard of forest bathing, it is not going out and taking a bath in the forest. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. It is actually common sense, taking a walk outside. And I can hear people, I don't have time, I don't have time, I have to finish this, I have to finish that. I see you laughing because you know that's what you're saying. But 5 minutes in nature is transformative. And that's why we used to send kids out to recess, I remember, when I was teaching. It was like, get outside, blow it off. And you can do that. The second strategy that I'd like to share that's very doable and easy is a timer that I use called Insight Timer. And I love this timer because this app, I've used it for 4 years, allows you to select how much time you actually have to do it. And there are other fabulous apps too, but this is my favorite, and it's free, and there's thousands of, sometimes I just listen to music for 5 minutes, and it just calms the energy. Your energy influences how your light gets blocked or emerges on the screen, in the classroom. You've got masks on, people can't see our faces. So we have to shine our light through our eyes or in other ways. All right, the next self-care strategy is move. So if you can, stand up right now. Just stand up. I'm standing up, you can see. Just stand up. We've been sitting for 2 hours. Stand up, move around. If you don't want to stand up, put your arms up over your head. Sway from side to side. Erin, I can see you. You can move your arms up. Okay, move, sway, move in your chairs. We need to factor this in. We don't want our kids sitting for this long. We can't sit for this long. It takes 30 seconds, but we have to figure it out. I love this little book I came across, and this author on self-care, it was self-care for online teachers. So here's a few tips, jot them down. Alternate sitting and standing. Every 30 minutes, we have to alternate sit. So in between, you have a 5-minute break, stand up. Seated and standing postures. Take the stairs. Park your car in the parking lot. We know these things. We just don't do them. And you can stand. I know some teachers are creating standing desks. So whatever movement works for you, that's the one I'm encouraging you to practice. So pen and paper again. As you can see, I'm old-fashioned. I'm not going to do the online. Write on your paper, what will you actually do as a result of coming to this session today. Jot down in big letters, and maybe it's you're going to schedule a walk every day. You're going to stand up in between your sessions. You're going to Zoom with your friend that makes you laugh. Think of a friend that brings you joy, a family member, someone that you enjoy. What works for you? I would love everyone to have one activity that you can actually do. And maybe you'll listen to my podcast, Mindful Living. So in summary, this is what I request as a follow-up, is that you intentionally focus on your self-care, that you read the 2 articles that Ben will put in the chat room. You'll get the links. That you'll practice even one moment with your fingertips together. That was one moment to take a pause. And I also offer a self-care course. If you like this, if you need more help, I offer graduate credit. You can find my course at my website, mentoringinaction.com. You can email me. I'll give you my email. The registration closes, we're going to close it on Monday because I'm doing this presentation today. You can look it up. So now Ben has selected someone who hopefully is still here that has won the door prize. So Ben, can you hear me? Who's the winner? And I'm going to send you a book. You're going to have to email me your address.
Our winner, Carol, is Lauren Weber.
Lauren, okay. Can Lauren unmute herself if she's here so I can see if
Hi.
Lauren.
I'm here.
Hi, Lauren. So
Hi.
what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to put up my email and you're going to email me, and I'm going to give you, I'll send it through Amazon, my Mindful Living book.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you.
So then you can listen every month to the podcast, and the book is a journal. So you can write your journal reflections. So can you share something that you shared in your breakout with us? Something that gave you joy, or your SEL skill, or share something with us.
Actually, I did share that so my commute now to work, I started working in elementary school in Hingham, and my commute now is an hour. So it's a lot longer than it was last year. And so I shared that I start, instead of just kind of not wasting it listening to music, because I like that, but I listen to different podcasts. So it's very fitting. So I'm going to add yours to my list.
Great.
It's very exciting.
That. I love that. So what did you get out of the session? What is your one, you're going to do this, but what had you written on your paper that you is a takeaway from the class today?
I think it was just a good reminder I'm a school adjustment counselor, and so I feel like I talk about this all the time, but I tell other people to practice self-care, yes. But I'm not the best at doing it myself. When you said about going out into the forest, it was a lot about, in my head it was, I don't have time for that.
I know. See, I knew you were saying that.
Yeah, you're right. When would I do that? I have to schedule it. So it was just a good reminder. Sometimes you just need that. Like I tell, parents a lot lately, you need kind of permission to take that time for yourself. So I think this session was just a good reminder for me to also practice what I preach.
Yes, I love that. That's perfect, because we all need that reminder, myself included. So I'm going to go for a walk in the forest or in the park this afternoon, because we need to balance. That's how we keep our balance. So thank you so much. And
thank you.
I will give you my email in a minute. So here's one of my favorite quotes. And this whole PowerPoint is going to be posted on the Early Educator website, right, Ben? Ben's saying yes. So you can get the whole PowerPoint in this recording and listen to it and share it. So
Yeah,
I
everyone who's here with us right now will get this PowerPoint. I've also posted the 2 links to the articles that Carol was talking about
Great.
Into the chat already.
Thank you, Ben. So here it is. Travel light, live light, share the light, be the light. So as we were just saying, we have to practice what we preach. If we want our students to see the light in front of the classroom, we are the ones to share it. But we have to refill and renew and revitalize consciously and intentionally if we want to have any light to share. There's nothing worse than having a teacher depleted and sharing the depletion. And we all have our challenges right now. We're all learning, but there's a lot of joy in what's happening right now. So if you want to keep working with me, if you're interested, this course is Social and Emotional Learning, Self-Care for Educators. It's 1 graduate credit. You just go to my website, everything is there. You'll see everything on my website that's free for teachers. This, of course, is through Gordon College. But you have a commitment and a duty as a teacher to keep yourself as strong as possible. And if you need the skills, I offer the skills. That's my commitment to you. And here is my email, and I will respond, I promise. If you email me today or tomorrow, I will give you some additional resources with videos, and I have more affirmations and other things that I'd love to share with you. So if you send me your email, I would be happy to do that. So as we wind down before you go to another class, we have some time for questions, and you can write them in the chat, or if you are comfortable just unmuting yourself, or I guess Ben can sort this out.
So Carol, I see there's already some questions
Okay.
that folks are asking about. You were just talking about depleted teachers and
Yes.
teachers who share their depletion, and it looks like our audience is keen to hear about how to deal with those people who are not spreading positivity.
Okay, so this goes back to the article on self-care that the social and emotional learning skills. So that's a perfect question, because I find people will say, oh, you're just a Pollyanna and you're so positive and everything sucks and it's terrible. But, and we have to get along with people. So you have these 4 skills. So social and awareness is the first step, is noticing other people are struggling and having empathy. And they might be gossiping and complaining about the principal. I have to tell you, when that happens to me, I had a mantra that I would say, you know, I do not have that experience of Ben. If people were talking about Ben not doing his job, and what is he's in charge and he should be telling us what to do. We know the drill. I've taught for 40 years. It's the same drill. The shift is all of us, if we're light, we have to recognize that Ben's going through something. But I don't have to add to it. So that's the thing. You can recognize that there are people spreading negativity, positive, they're struggling. And I send a blessing. If it gets into my vibe, you have to educate your self-awareness of your emotion. So those are the first 2 on the SEL article. Be aware that you're reacting and that they're influencing your negativity. There's an emotional reaction. and then manage the reaction. So you're not going to just join the crowd and everybody's complaining about Ben now. So then you feel misery love company and poor, yeah, Ben, he can't do it. That doesn't make me feel any better. So I have to be aware of it. I don't know if that answered the question. Ben, I picked on you, so does it answer the question?
That's okay, Carol. People complain about me all the time. We have a couple more minutes left
Okay.
here.
Any other question? Any other question?
Do we have? So I just saw there's one last question on the idea of toxic positivity.
Ah,
Toxic positivity.
too
So the kind of
positive.
opposite end of the scale.
Yes. Well, that's what I was kind of referring to, that some people might have said, oh, you're just a Pollyanna and you think everything's positive and you don't, and I'm not. I was the union president. I could deal with stuff, and I may present myself as friendly and positive, but it does, that's an interesting way to frame it, toxic positivity. I don't know if I would frame it that way. I think sometimes positivity where it's like the Hallmark movie, just like there's nothing bad, come on. There is a way for us to still shine our light and recognize, and maybe that person has to be positive because they have many other pains inside that they're dealing with. So I would probably not frame it that way. All right, last. I just am so grateful. Please email me. You have my email. I'd love to follow up with you. And I'm so thankful and grateful that I got to spend my time with you today.